Hi everyone, I'm Jansi, and in today's video we'll discuss about the class 7th social science subject, and one of the branch of this is history. So we are going to discuss about a history lesson of class 7th. And next, this is the cover page of our history textbook. So here you can see it is stating as our past 2. So, this is the NCERT textbook of class 7, and this page shows you the contents of the history textbook. So, altogether we are having 10 lessons in the history. So, among those 10 lessons, today we are going to discuss the first lesson, which is named as Tracing Changes to 1,000 Years. So, tracing means finding. So, we are finding the changes which took place from thousands of years in all the aspects. So, what are those changes? So, coming to the starting page of the textbook, we'll be knowing about a different maps, the two maps. So, on before of that, you have to know these terms which are very important. So, cartography means the art of drawing maps. And a person who was specialized in drawing maps was termed as cartographer. And geographer means an expert in the study of the physical features of the earth. So, the person who studies the physical features of the earth is termed as geographer. And chronicler. So the person who writes accounts of important or any historical events. So before starting of the lesson, these terms are very important because we come across these terms and those personalities. So where you'll not get be confused when you don't know the meanings of these terms. So starting to our lesson, this is the first page where this was a section of world map drawn by a geographer. His name is Al Idrisi. So specifically this shows a Indian subcontinent. So this was made in the year 1154 CE, means Common Era, by an Arab geographer. His name is Al Idrisi. So in this map, you can see the South India is where we would expect to find North India. So vice versa. So the North India should be at the top and South India should be at the bottom. But Al Idrisi in his map, he marked it as a opposite and placed the Sri Lanka island at the top. And even you can see the names of the places were written in Arabic language. So especially he have pronounced so many words like just like Kanauj. It is in Uttar Pradesh, which is pronounced as Kanauj. And this after this producing of the map 1, after 600 years, and another map has been reproduced. So there you'll find the changes. So you can see where you don't have a correct marginalization of the oceans or sea or the different areas and the positioning of the places. So this was drawn by an Arab geographer. His name is Al Idrisi in the year 1154 CE. After this, the second map was drawn after the 600 years of the first map. So here you can see how clearly the places has been marked. So particularly the coastal areas, you can see the coastal areas very clearly marked. And this map was used by the European sailors and merchants on their voyages. So the first difference or the changes which we see is the change in cartography. So there was a lot of difference between these 2 years, that is 600 years before and 600 years after. What are the changes took place in the science of cartography? So even we can find the more changes. So one of the change in the 1,000 years is the terminologies. So when you compare with the medieval Persian language from the modern Persian language, there was lot of changes. That changes was not only in grammar but also in vocabulary, and sometimes even the meaning is also changed. See how the same Persian language, it has been changed years together. Not only the grammar, vocabulary, but also in times the meaning of the letters has been changed. So here we have been given the two examples for this. The first example is Hindustan. So today we understood as India. So Hindustan, everyone knows that it is the name of our country. But the terminology or the word meaning is different in 13th century. So here a chronicler, his name is Minhaj I Siraj. He wrote in Persian that the areas of Punjab, Haryana and lands between Ganga and Yamuna were termed as Hindustan. So actually, he used this term in political sense that these are the parts of a Delhi Sultanates. But even though the South India was a part of Delhi Sultanates, but he didn't include the South India, only the North India, especially the lands between Ganga and Yamuna, and also the Punjab and Haryana areas were termed as Hindustan by Minhaj I Siraj. And even this, after this, him in the 14th century, Amir Khusru, he was a poet, he used word Hind. So in the 14th century, a poet, Amir Khusru, he also used the word Hind with a different meaning. And in the 16th century, Babar, he introduced or he termed this Hindustan means the geography, the fauna, culture, and inhabitants of subcontinent. So included all the Indian subcontinent, what are the plants, animals, and the people, and the culture, everything he termed it as Hindustan. So, but those words in the 13th, 14th, and 16th century, they do not carry the political and national meanings what we have at present. So the other example of the terminology changes is foreigner. So generally, at present, we say that someone who is no, doesn't belongs to our country was a foreigner. He may be from other different country. But in the medieval period, it means that someone is not a part of that society or culture. See the same foreigner meaning in the past, they stated that any stranger or someone who was not a part of that society or culture. So even they recognize a city dweller might be a foreigner to them, or a forest living person also a foreigner to them. So the other meanings of foreigner in Hindi is Paradesi, and in Persian language the foreigner is termed as Ajnabi. So see how we have been experiencing the olden terminology till the newer ones, and also how we are going to state all these changes. On what basis are we saying that they were changes? So in this textbook, we are roughly saying the period between 700 to 1750. So where we experience a lot of changes. So what are those sources are coins, inscriptions. So the first you can see Samudragupta's coins and the inscriptions which was in on the walls of the temples and the different styles of architecture, nothing but the monuments and its constructional changes. And finally the textual records. So that in the last you can see even the Telugu language has been written in this Talapatra Granthas. So these are the sources how we are been estimating as saying about the past history between 700 to 750. So through this period, the paper gradually became cheaper and more widely available. So during this period, the paper has been introduced and its cost is cheap and everywhere it is available. So people used to write the holy text, chronicles of rulers, letters and teachings of saints, petition, judicial records, accounts and taxes. So see the sources how it was changed. Not a gold coin, not on the walls or not on the palm leaves. But here we have used to write everything on the paper. So this is also one of the change where we can see this. And here what you are seeing is manuscripts. Means a very old book or document that was written by the hand. And here you can see the different kinds of handwriting could make the reading of Persian and Arabic as a different one. So see the different handwritings of Persian and Arabic. So generally these manuscripts, those will be placed in libraries and archives. So writing something is not a simple task. You'll be having lot of problems in copying these manuscripts. First and foremost, we don't know the words, its terms, and its meanings, and even the letter how it changed through the years together. So actually, a better example of copying problems of a manuscript is 14th century Gyuddin Barani. He wrote a chronicle in 1356, and in the year 1358 he wrote another chronicle. But the first one has been hidden somewhere in the big libraries, and the people who has to write about history, they got the second chronicle and they wrote themselves whatever the letters or whatever the meanings they know that they have written. But they don't know the original meaning or the grammar which was written by this Gyuddin Barani. But fortunately, the first book came out in the year 1960s. So after that only you can correct the spellings or correct the mistakes what a person has done in copying these manuscripts. And what are the political and social changes? The first social change you can see that Persian wheel introduced in irrigation, spinning wheel in weaving, and firearms in combat. The food items like potatoes, chilies, corn, and beverages like tea and coffee has been brought from the so many travelers who came to our country to do the trade. And how the political changes took place. So actually previously we have Kshatriyas, only the persons who have been ruling. But slowly this word and terminology has been differed. So, Rajputs have been evolved in the 18th to 14th century. Generally, Rajputs means son of a ruler. But slowly in the 8th and 14th centuries, this has been including the warriors and even the chieftains, commanders, and soldiers who served for the betterment of the country. So here the Rajputs are known for their valor and loyalty. So slowly we can find the different kinds of ruling dynasties which came. Those are Marathas, Sikhs, Jats, Ahoms and Kayasthas. So where you find lot of differences. What about the people, how the different caste system has evolved? So once all the people, the primitive man, they were living in the forest. But slowly the forest was cut to do the agriculture once he learned how to rear or grow a plant. So few of them, they also migrated when the forest area was cut, and the others, they tilled the land and became as a peasants. But the major problem was they were influenced by many people. So just like regional markets, chieftains, priests, monasteries, and temples, in turn he has to pay taxes and offer goods. So this troubled the peasants. So they couldn't supply to every one of them. So slowly, some people they even started cattle rearing and artisan works. So from the peasants, they have evolved a subcaste. So that subcaste were termed as jatis. These jatis they framed their own rules and regulations, and these will be formed by an elder of this jati. Those are called as jati panchayat. And here you can see the region and empire, which was the provinces of Delhi Sultanate during Muhammad Tughlaq. And here even you can see this pan-regional empire, which means empire crossing its region and spreading over several other regions. See how a small region has been divided into or extended into, spread it into other regions. What about the religions? Once they were worshipping only the nature elements. Slowly they started worshipping new deities, and the royalty, to show their royalness, they have constructed the temples. So the caste people who have to do all these performances, the pujas in the temples are Brahmins. So that is why they got a very great importance. And even it led to the Bhakti movement, and that was a changes in the Hinduism. Slowly the merchants and migrants, they brought Holy Quran and started accepted Allah as a god. So here it was also again of a two types, Shia Muslims and Sunni Muslims. So when you think about the past, so that historical periods were divided into three by the British historians. Those are Hindu, Muslim, and British. But few historians they have divided our Indian history into ancient, medieval, and modern. So this ancient always it knows that the people are hunter gatherers, early farmers, and slowly there was a change who started living in towns and villages. So medieval period always it has to start some changes, and modern it has to start with an essence of intellectual. So there should be a progress in each and every aspect. So there should be an advancement. So that is what we termed as modernity, but it was not there in our country because of the occupation of the Britishers. So we cannot term our Indian history into modern period. So I hope you would have understand the lesson tracing changes through 1,000 years. So please subscribe the channel for more videos, like it and share it. Thank you everyone.